Welcome to Tabor. You are now a valued member of the Advantage Research Corporation. Our mission at the Advantage Research Corporation is to... This video will quickly orient you to your new home and hopefully avoid any confusion as to what you can do. This outpost is one of many that are scattered across Tabor and has been designed for both efficiency and your comfort. Each bunker is equipped with all necessities for self-sustaining your own living standards. A pantry, should you wish to store and prepare your own meals. An armory, for you to store and organize the equipment that you may need. As well as our state-of-the-art transport and shipping system, where you will be able to send and receive any equipment you may have sold or purchased. You will also have access to postings of your assignments from outside the trade room. To gain access to these rooms, find the corresponding keycard by color and place them into the keycard reader.
What's going on, guys? Today I am excited to cover once again Ghosts of Tabor. Ghosts of Tabor is an upcoming survival and extraction shooter that is inspired by games like Escape from Tarkov and Arma, as well as DayZ. It's also ran by a company called Combat Waffle Studios, which is a veteran-owned business, which obviously gets some bonus points in my book. And I think what's special about Ghosts of Tabor is that this is the first cross-platform, full-on virtual reality game within this niche or this genre, and it does it extraordinarily well. I've been really enjoying the alpha build, the pre-release build over the last several weeks, and I am extremely proud to have been partnered with the team at Combat Waffle Studios to tell you guys more about this game before its release. And you should know that it launches across platforms in March of 2023. It's going to be on the Quest. It's also going to be available on PC VR via Steam. And then we just learned that it will also be coming to PlayStation Virtual Reality 2 in Q3 of 2023. And they just pushed a major update to the test build that I've been playing on over the last couple of weeks and months. And this new update really takes the game from where it was in the last video, which is on screen right now, that you guys can go ahead and check out to get an idea of what the game is all about. But it takes it from that place in its nascent stages and really shapes it into the game that it will be when it launches in just a couple of weeks from right now. And here in just a second, I'm going to go into all the little details that make this latest update really impressive. But before I do that, I want to share with you guys why I think Ghosts of Tabor is such an important title to be releasing into virtual reality. If you guys have been around this channel at all, then you know I'm a huge fan of virtual reality. I think it's simply the most immersive way to experience digital entertainment. And there's something about putting on that headset that takes you directly into that digital environment and makes you feel incredibly immersed, and your brain is just capable of this incredible level of commitment to whatever experience you are plugging into in VR. And that makes games like Ghosts of Tabor, this tactical shooter, a military shooter, a survival and extraction shooter, even more compelling. If you've ever had your heart rate up in a game like Escape from Tarkov, then just imagine experiencing a similar thing like that, except with that headset on, where you are fully committed, fully immersed, and fully invested in the process. And the game is already showing signs of being feature complete. They've got all the big details and big blocks in place, and you know that this game is going to launch. It's going to be amazing right out the gate. And then as the weeks and months progress throughout 2023 and 2024, the game's going to continue to grow. And they've already got a really promising roadmap that's showing tons of new content, including new maps and new features that are all in the horizon. Now, this latest update took that hideout that I showed you guys in the last video and really built it out to something impressive. Virtually all of the doors that were previously locked in the hideout are now open, and you can fully explore your storage space, your arms space, your trading room space, the brand new medical bay, as well as a barracks area. There's even this like indoor hydroponics agriculture setup where you can see you're going to be able to plant your own crops and farm them and use that to craft food and actually do some cooking. They've added a ton of customization and storage options. So now that all these new doors are open in your hideout, you can actually store all of your loot and all your gear in all these different locations. So I've started putting my food in the storage area and kind of treating that as my pantry. I've started storing medical supplies back in the medical bay, and I've gone to my arms room and really built it out and you'll see some gameplay here coming up about the slow progress that I've made in my arms room. But you've got this dummy mannequin now where you can actually store your kit. You can move pouches around on the chest rack and the plate carrier so that you can make sure that you're set up for whatever weapon system you're taking into the fight. I've talked about the gun vise in the arms room before, and I think that's a freaking awesome little feature where you can drop a gun into the gun vise and use that stable platform to add attachments to the weapon system so that you're going in with the exact gear that you want to be fighting with, whether it's against players or against NPCs. And one of the really freaking phenomenal things that they've added in this update is ammunition manufacturing. So there's now the ability to take your own brass casings and your own propellant and create your own ammunition in the arms room. And there's just something inherently satisfying about investing the effort going into a raid, extracting with all this loot, and either selling it or taking those raw materials from the raid and using that to generate your own items. And I haven't had the opportunity to test this yet in the game, but I assume that it's completely possible because in the weapons and the ammunition manufacturing system, you can create armor-piercing ammunition, ball ammunition, or tracer ammunition. And what I used to do is in my own magazines, I would fill the last 4 or 5 rounds with tracers so that if I saw a tracer, I knew that it was time for a mag change in extremis, so I could avoid that, feared emergency reload when it really counted. And that's something that I plan to replicate in Ghosts of Tabor by stuffing a mag with a bunch of ball ammo and making sure those last couple of rounds are tracer so I know when to swap mags. And as you guys know from the previous video, all the weapon interactions are really interesting, and they seem to mirror the real world very authentically. So you get last round hold open, all your roller guns like the HK MP5, they have the HK slap, and they just function as you would expect a weapon to function in the real world. There's a safety selector where you can put the weapon on safe or semi-automatic or automatic depending on whatever weapon system it is, and it just rewards you from thinking tactically, and those little decisions like putting those last couple rounds as tracers is probably going to be able to get you out of a raid alive every now and then whenever you do it just right. The team also added a brand new marketplace, which is just freaking gorgeous, to be honest with you. So now you launch into the Tabor Market. It takes you into this gorgeous cityscape with these alleys that connect a couple of side streets, and then along the side streets you have each vendor out there, and there's a vendor that specializes in traditional weapon systems, there's one that specializes in custom weapon systems, there's a medical vendor, there's a junk vendor who I assume later is going to be heavily involved in the crafting scenarios, there's a guy that specializes in armor and armored modules and night vision and whatever you could possibly imagine, and there's a quest and a mission system so that as you accept these missions and these tasks from various vendors and you return and you sell items to those vendors and you complete tasks and complete those missions for those vendors, you'll be able to gain access to more and more advanced equipment and better prices when you shop with those guys. So it's going to unlock a lot of customization, a lot of really interesting pathways for people to pursue whenever they're grinding out for the best gear to be able to go into these raids and dominate other players. The gameplay still feels freaking mind-blowing and terrifying and exciting and fun and rewarding, and I probably played 8 or 10 different raids for this video. And the first time I logged on, I'm basically coming in kind of as a Bambi. I'm coming in pretty new, and there's guys that have invested hundreds of hours into the alpha version of this game already, and they're well ahead of me as far as equipment and skill goes. And it was terrifying, honestly, encountering players for the first time, and you can hear them in game over VoIP talking to one another and coordinating and taunting you and laughing, and you hear those footsteps in the dark and those the gunshots off in the distance or real close. And at different times I found myself kind of just heavily breathing and holding a corner and praying because I was going in with really subpar equipment and just trying to get out alive with some basic gear so I could start my journey in this game. And my initial PvP encounters didn't go great. I think I won 1v1, and then I lost 2 against other players. At one point I was holding a corner and this dude came around the corner. I thought I had the jump on him, but he had a freaking shield and a freaking Glock that was suppressed with a laser on it. And I put a bunch of 5.56 rounds into the shield, but to no avail. And he dropped me right where I stood. And then later on, I went back in, I was holding a corner deep in this tunnel, and a dude peeks the freaking tunnel. and he has an M110 SAS or something similar to it with a suppressor on it and a red dot, and he just 2-taps me right in the freaking face, and I drop right there. And I'm not upset about those encounters because these guys are clearly very talented. They've been playing the game quite a bit, and I can tell that there's going to be a skill gap in this game, and it's going to be one of those things that you really have to commit yourself to and practice and get good at. And marksmanship is going to matter. Gear and loot selection is going to matter. And I think that all makes the game that much more rewarding and that much more compelling. But then what I did after getting wrecked by Chads all night is I came back in the very next morning hoping that it would be a lower population, I wouldn't encounter quite as many players, and I went gear farming. I basically spawned in with just a chest rack, a backpack, a knife, and a med kit, and I went hunting. And I managed to take out some NPCs, farm some gear. One of the really cool things they added now is you can actually snap the necks on NPCs. So if you sneak up to a scav and get right behind them, you can grab their head and quite literally break their neck, which is freaking awesome, especially if you're spooky and sneaky about it. And it's pretty freaking phenomenal. So caught myself in a couple of those situations, managed to pick up a couple of guns, and kind of the culmination of my loot runs went where I made a leap of faith and I jumped across an elevator shaft and I found this closed elevator door, managed to pry it open. It was abysmally loud and I knew that people were listening to me open this elevator shaft door, and I got inside and I hastily looted what was basically a hidden supply room, like a hidden cache room. And if you guys have ever played this map, or as soon as you guys get access to the game, get yourself to this freaking hidden spot. It's the best loop on the map. It absolutely has to be. I found a couple different weapon systems. I got plate carriers and the whole deal. The best thing I found was quad tubes, my dudes. I found freaking quad tubes. I'm afraid to run them in a raid, but I have them, and they are in my inventory. And I'll close out by reinforcing why I think this game is so great. I think it's good because it works, it's fun, it is a game-ass game with tons of features and replayability and an incentive to play it. And there's something about the VR formula that, when coupled with survival and extraction shooter mechanics, makes it extremely rewarding and compelling and terrifying, and it gives you this incredible sense of ownership. And I have my freaking safe house geared out now. I have a gun rack full of my guns that I earned. And I have stacks of ammo that I manufactured myself that belong to me. And I have customized the way that all of my loot looks on the walls. And I get to choose what I take into every single raid. And it gives me an incredible sense of ownership over the way that I experience the game. And it makes me excited to go back and test my skills and my gear against other players. Ghosts of Tabor launches in March, just a couple of weeks away. Right now, you can pre-order it, or you can run over to Steam right now and wishlist it, so you can get your hands on it as soon as it launches. I've got lots more Ghosts of Tabor news and content on the way. I know that you guys are going to love this one. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, you want to learn more about Ghosts of Tabor and other tactical shooters and combat simulations, this is the place to do it. I'm Controlled Pairs. This has been Ghosts of Tabor, and I'll see you guys in the next one.